Hey guys, welcome to another episode of The Mind of Reese. Yes, this episode is the second part to my 30-parter Amazon trip. So juicy. That Amazon trip totally changed my whole world, and I cannot wait to go back. But before we get into that, I think we are about like the last week for you to sign up for Inspired Academy as of today. So I would high recommend that you get on that right now if you are looking to get into some shadow work. This is deep internal work to where we get to know ourselves so well that we learn about what it is that we actually believe and choose the beliefs that we no longer want, and to release those beliefs, get into the manifestation, the law of attraction of life, to where we're really now cultivating a new practice of adhering and rooting ourselves down into those new beliefs, and then creating the actionable, strategic, and structural aspects and steps so that we can slay the new year and manifest our goals into reality, into this three-dimensional world, this human experience. And so I love this workshop. I love doing this workshop. Inspired Alliance is one of my favorite workshops to do every single year. It changes every time. So anybody that's been in last year, it's so different than this year. You get 6+ or more hours, because I'm adding lots of meditations, lots of visualizations. We're going to be doing them together. We're also going to be doing some, really internal energetic clearings, and we're going to do some shadow work-ins and manifestationings, and and then really setting the goals. So there's so much involved in this, and it's at a no-brainer cost for $220. Just because I freaking love you guys, and I'm just hoping that as many people can get the good juicy information before they hit 2023, so we can alchemize all that good energy of a new year into something that we know we're going to actually prove to our now selves that our then selves is coming, and that our over there future selves are here to take over. So I am so excited about this particular aspect of this program. So, and it starts in about a week, so you don't want to miss it. Also, we have, my tattoo immersion, one-on-one in-person days for any tattooers looking to dive deeper into their business energetics and tattoo techniques, it's mostly for the tattoo techniques, but since we will be spending so much time together, why not get into tattoo business, marketing, social media, energetics, ceremonializing, all the things. And so it's just like a big one dayer where we hang out. I get to know you and your business, you get to know me and my business and how it works, and it's insane. It's insane the amount of information you can get, and that you'll get from me, and how we can kind of like see where that takes you. And if you are looking for any other coaching experiences with me, you can click in the show notes, and I have a whole library of fun stuff where you can just plug in and play. And I would love to see you guys in the Inspired Vortex always. But again, for this episode, wow. I talked to you about my ceremonies, about my Ayahuasca ceremonies, my first and second one, and it was just an eye-opening experience for me. It was just something that I do definitely feel like my brain has been chemically altered now that I've done Mama Aya, and not just in the physical way, but also in the spiritual way. And I can't tell you how much I'm obsessed with the experience that I've had, and how much I'm continuing to learn from it as each day passes. So without further ado, I hope you love this episode. Let me know that you do in the comments, in the DMs, in the stories. I love hearing from you guys, and I love sharing my story with you guys. It's been an incredible journey so far, and I hope that you continue to want to join me on it. So here we go. All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of The Mind of Reese. I am wearing the same outfit because, I just unbuttoned the button, because I decided that I'm just going to knock out 2 of these podcast episodes right now, since I am so still fully inundated in the Amazon rainforest. So this will be episode 2 of my journey of the Amazon rainforest, and I am still holding my little hand. So if you heard in the last episode, I am holding a hand with a microphone. So I have 3 hands, and I'm trying to button my button right now so my boobs don't pop out. This is the way it goes, you guys. Like, this is full transparency, full just no fucks. What's so funny is that before I get into everything. It's so funny is that like when I was first starting my podcast, I cared so much about the aesthetic. I cared so much about the way it looked. I cared that my full makeup was on. I cared that like my microphone was perfect, all of this stuff. And I just cared so much about the things that I said. And it's so funny because it doesn't fucking matter. It's just like, just be who you are. All looking super beautiful or whatever. Yes, that's just cherry on top. But it's the way you say it when it comes from your soul. I think that really means a lot to people. And if this means that I don't get a bajillion fucking likes and follows on my podcast, then I don't give a fuck. It just means that I'm sharing my soul in this space that I really enjoy sharing it in. And that's all I care about. And so if this is just one little tidbit of this episode to just inspire you to just fucking go out there and take messy action, then go. Do the thing. Open the podcast. Send that post. Go do Reiki. The reason why I say that is because one of my students actually just started doing Reiki, and I'm so proud of her. Nicole, if you're listening, that's you. Just go fucking do the thing. Just go take messy action. Like, who fucking cares? You don't have 10 million years of life. You probably maybe not even have tomorrow. Like, just go and do it. So yeah, I'm coming to you with 3 hands and a phone and my hair messy, and yeah. So if you're watching this on the YouTube, yo, welcome. And if you're not, if you're on Spotify or Apple, hi, I love you. Okay. So last episode I was talking about getting to the Amazon, the things that I've learned about community, the limiting beliefs I still really had around money that I didn't know that I still harbored. I knew I did, but I think part of it just really showed up for me at this time. And so that's the first day. That was the first day. I talked about the first day. Okay, so let's get into first ceremony of Aya. I've never done Aya. I've never done ayahuasca. Ayahuasca to me was not the reason why I went. I at least I don't believe. I was invited to go to the Amazon rainforest. That's what stuck in my mind. I was invited to go to the Amazon rainforest in like May, and it was supposed to be it was supposed to be the trip in July. That was when the inauguration was happening of the school. Chief Ishkunkwa was there, inviting a bunch of people so that people could basically come out there, see what was happening, and go spread the fucking word. That's what we were there to do. Like, that's why he invited us. We were there to help spread the word of this community, of this program, to keep the culture of the Yawanawa alive. And unfortunately, it did not happen in July. I was actually kind of glad because I knew in my heart, I was like, I'm not ready to do ayahuasca. I don't even know what that fucking is. I had been invited to do ayahuasca many, many times in LA. One time, I think my cousin invited me to like Peru or Portugal. Wasn't sure which one there. And none of it called to me. I was like, nope. And to me, ayahuasca is, to me, it was like a losing of control thing. And I'm not about that. And if you listen to 2 episodes prior about, pre-Amazon rainforest, pre-trip Amazon rainforest trip, I will tell you exactly what my intention was for going. And, when it got switched to, the trip got switched from July to October, it really ended up being one of those things where I was like, you know what? I feel like I'm ready. I'm ready to do ayahuasca. And in my mind, when I'm heading there to the Amazon rainforest, I'm like, oh, we're doing one ceremony. Like, I don't know. I've never done it. And, apparently they had 3 ceremonies planned, and not unbeknownst to myself that this particular tribe pretty much did Aya every day. So you're talking to a person that's never done Aya to a person that did Aya 6 days in a row. And, let me tell you about, but there was only 3 ceremonies. So like major Aya ceremonies. And then the day Aya, day microdosing Ayas were during, the day, during dance and prayer and chants and story times and games. that the Yawanawa had provided for us, which were incredible and crazy at the same time. Let me just tell you, it was crazy. Those games, savagery. And what I mean by savagery is not the way you think. Meaning like the women can be mean and the men are crazy. And so it was just, the games were just nuts, and I'll tell you about them later. But let's talk about my first Aya ceremony. And so I went into this a little nervous about ayahuasca just because I didn't want to lose control. I've done mushrooms before. It wasn't like, it just made me kind of feel nauseous. I didn't really feel like I was tripping anything. The only time I did feel like a trip was, I had done it once with my wife, my best friend, Hallie, and, we had a great time with a little cry and just loving on each other and just like expressing how much we love each other and that kind of thing. And so that was just but it didn't, I don't know, some people, I've heard of experiences with mushrooms, and it's like they're seeing crazy things, psychedelics, like that kind of thing. And, I've never done acid before. I've only done the things where I can kind of control, which was like weed. And that's fun every once in a while, but too much of it gets me down. Alcohol, again, a downer for me, so I don't really do it. And, I've done I'm not gonna lie, I've done MDMA before. That's super fun at a concert, done that once, and that's a lot of fun. But again, you just see pretty colors, and I don't know, I think it just makes you horny or something. So let me just be real about it, okay? So yeah, I'm a pretty sober human being. I love putting really good, healthy food in my body. And so when people are looking at ayahuasca, I'm looking at it as like a drug, where these people are calling it medicine. And I don't want to be disrespectful. So of course I'm like, okay, medicine, quote unquote. I was really skeptical. And I was like, I didn't understand. And so my first ceremony, everybody's like, there's a lot of people there. So this is like a celebratory ceremony, basically celebrating the inauguration. And so what happens in these ceremonies is that during the first half, you go and you take a cup from the shaman, the chief, and you take your cup. And there's 3 different variations. There's the one for the kids, the really, really light one, the medium one, and then there's the honey one where it's really thick. It's the potent one. And so you get to choose 3 different variations. And then in the beginning, you sit with it to allow it to kind of marinate within you. And then as the force comes through, what they call as the force, when Aya hits you and you start to feel different, they offer chanting circles so that you can alchemize the Aya and allow it to move through you. You don't have to fight it, because I think oftentimes people do is that there's different types of ceremonies where people really just sit with it and allow it to kind of take over. Sometimes this paralyzes you, sometimes it doesn't. I don't know, whenever I feel really uncomfortable, I have to move. That's just the way that I go. So I kind of really enjoy this type of ceremonial process when it came to Aya. Because when you had to go get well, which was purging, taking a shit or taking a poop or throwing up. There's other purgings like crying and all this other stuff. And so, or screaming or whatever you need to do. So there's different types of purging, but most of the ones that everybody talks about is oh, you're going to throw up or shit your pants, ha, ha, ha. And you have guides as well who help you through this if you need it. And so, so first ceremony, I take the baby one. He gives me a halfie. And I was the first one to do it because he was let me get the first timers. There were 3 of us that were first time, never done Aya. And so I take half and I'm like, okay. So I'm in my chair sitting there waiting for something to happen, and nothing did. And I was like, okay, what do I do? And then, 2 of the girls, one of the girls that had done it has never done it. She's already throwing up. She's super sensitive stomach or whatever. And so she's already throwing up. And so I go up and I go get another cup, and I'm like, okay, let me get another cup. So I get another cup and I get in the circle to start chanting. And we're chanting. And I've I don't know any of the words, so I'm just listening and copying where I can and whatever. And so it's just like, it felt kind of uncomfortable, but at the same time, I was just like, let me just move through this. Let me just utilize this, and still didn't feel anything. And so the ceremony goes by. So this ceremony goes on from like 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. in the morning. This is like a full-blown like party, kind of crazy thing. Not a party, but it's just like a ceremony. And so, we're chanting in the circle. We're alchemizing. There's people really going through it. It's me. I'm just watching, and I'm just kind of like, I feel kind of weird. And so I take a third cup. And that's when I take a third cup, and I was like, you know what? Because they're only giving me half cups. So it's like, I'm not drinking like 4 shots of Aya. It's like, they have been only giving me half cups. So maybe in total I had 1.5 cups. So I was just like, fuck it. Like, let me get a 4th one. So they gave me another 4th. So 2 cups in total. And that's when I started feeling something. So I got really like, oh my gosh, I thought I was going to get well somewhere, whether it was out of my mouth or something else. And so I ended up getting well, and I started to feel the force, is what they call it. And I fought it. I fought it hard. I fought it. I was like, no, I wanted control over it. I could feel myself just being like, nope, not doing this. And in the second part of the ceremony, this is where we all dance. So there's music involved. Everybody's trying to help you alchemize. And, everybody's on the force, basically. However deep in the force you are, it just depends on how much you've taken. And so I'm not really deep. And I'm just like, I'm almost like, I don't know what it was, but there was this part of me that was getting really upset. I was like angry. I was like, I came all this way to have a spiritual awakening, and I got well, I got sick, and now I'm dancing. I'm really tired. It's 3 a.m. in the morning, and I don't understand this medicine at all. I don't get it. I don't get what's happening. And all of a sudden I sit down, and I'm, just like sitting there by myself looking up at the sky, and the sky is fucking gorgeous. You just see, I've never seen so many stars in my life. It was just beautiful. And all of a sudden I started to hear this voice, and that's when I started to freak out a little. I was like, oh my God, what's this voice? And this voice was like, you don't need me. You don't need me to connect to source energy. You don't need anything to connect to source energy. That's the voice I heard. And as I looked up and tears are streaming down my face, I'm like, I don't understand. I came out here all this way, and I wanted to get a clear channel. I just wanted to feel clear. And the only thing she told me before I basically came out of it and woke up was that you don't need me to get closer to your spirituality. You need to heal you and your doubts and fears. And then the moment that happened, I woke up. Like there was no more force. And I was like so disappointed. You would have thought I would have been like, oh my God, that was so profound. And it was, trust me, down the line, the days to come, it was so profound. This is the way I look at it. I look at intuition or spirit or your guides like oracles, like the oracle of the Matrix, like the oracle of the Matrix. She needed to tell Neo that he wasn't the one so that he could show the fuck up and be the one, right? He needed to hear that so that he could believe it himself, so that he can take the own route and believe it himself. He couldn't be told that he was the one and it be all like, oh yeah, then now he's dodging bullets. Like, he needed to be told what he needed to be told in order for him to step up to the plate. And so that's what I think about it. Like, I think about hearing spirits, hearing our guides, hearing intuition, hearing source energy. And the reason why, if you're watching this, I touch my belly is that because, like, that's where I hear her. My clairs, I see visions, I hear really well, and I have a knowing. I also speak to nature. It's just I hear nature, and it's just what happens, and I'm owning it. That shit's real for me. So it is what it is. And so I hear it in my stomach. It's a quiet whisper voice. My ego is more in my throat, my neck, my head. It's really loud. Everybody knows who their ego is. You can just ask. Honestly, lately, I've been taught to ask. That's something else I learned as well, was that just ask. Is this spirit, or is this my ego? And oftentimes it would be like, ego. And you're like, oh, okay. Okay, I don't need you here. Can we ask my higher self, please, to show up? And so after that first time, I was disappointed. But then I was just like, okay, well, first let me just say thank you. Thank you for that. You're telling me that I didn't need to take anything. And that's the funny part, is that I don't need to take anything in order to become closer, or to feel more spiritual, or to, have an awakening. It wasn't like that. And so I spoke to some people about it. I was like, gosh, I don't know if I'm going to do it again. I don't know if I want to do Aya again. Like, that was so disappointing to me. She told me I didn't even need her. And now I'm like, what am I doing here then? And I was like, okay, well then I'm just going to be with nature. And that was the magic of it. That was what I needed. I wanted to be in nature. And I was like, I got exactly what I wanted. I really wanted to feel the magic of nature. And that's why I'm here. So I told a couple of people about what happened and what I received. And one of the women, super profound spiritual woman, you can just feel the energy off people when you just know that they're just like really in tuned. She was like, she's like, yeah. She's like, that's what you needed to hear. And I was like, I guess so. Yeah, I did. I guess that's, I didn't have to come all this way in order to clear my channels or to know that I have doubts. But it's really good confirmation that knowing that if you choose, as a person listening to this, if you choose not to do Aya and it's not for you, it's not for you. You don't have to do shit you don't have to do anything outside of you in order to feel more connected to the inner you. The crystals, the sage, the Palo Santos, the like all these meditations and breath work and things like this. These are all just resources to help a unique person guide them where they want to go. But it's not necessary. It's helpful. It's a resource. And so Aya, again, just like another resource. And when she ends up telling me, this woman that I told her about she's like, what's funny is that oftentimes, as women, we're taught to let go of our gifts. We're taught to, when there was witches at the time, or women healers at the time, utilizing plants as medicine and things like this, we were all taught that it was bad. Nobody should, basically burn the witches and things like this. And so we lose touch with our spirituality. And what Aya does, it just helps you see what you already have inside of you, what you've kind of blocked off. And the message that I received of not needing her just meant that I don't need her, that that the block can be lifted on my own. Like, I can do it on my own through meditation or through whatever practice or ritual that I can do it. However, and what she said to me was, this is how I interpreted it, was that what I'm doing here in the Amazon rainforest, living with this indigenous tribe, doing as the natives do, which is drink Aya, was that I am literally hiring Mama Aya, Mama Ayahuasca, as my mentor to get me from where I am to where I want to go in a shorter amount of time if I would have done it myself. And so the way I looked at this, the way that she described this to me, and this is how I took it, because I'm like, oh my God, yeah, totally. Like, we don't need anything. We don't need a mentor. We don't need mentors. We could teach ourselves how to tattoo. We could teach ourselves to do drawing. We could teach ourselves this and that and whatever. But why we hire mentors is to collapse time between where we are and where we want to go. And the way she described this to me, that's exactly how I took it. I was like, so Aya is just collapsing time from where I am to where I want to go. And so she's allowing me to understand first that I don't need her to get there. I can utilize her help, because I have doubts and fears, and those are the things that I need to focus on. And although I received this message, I was still skeptical on whether or not I was going to do Aya again. And because I didn't quite get to this message until literally, I think, after my second ceremony, which we'll get into right now. So, I was like, I was still skeptical. I was like, well, if she says that I don't need her, then like maybe I shouldn't do it again. But that's not the point. That's not what it was saying. That's not what we were taking it as. And that's why I'm so glad that I didn't take it that way, because second ceremony came and holy shit. So before second ceremony, I was still feeling a little bummy about my first experience, and was just like, a little woe is me, little feeling sorry for myself. Everybody else was having these like profound, gnarly experiences, and they were diving deep, and some of them were like paralyzed. And I was like, I don't want to go that deep. That's too far. Like, that's crazy. The way that they were like paralyzed in their darkness. I was like, no. Not for me. It was like scary. It was scary for me seeing some of these people, some of the experiences, and even watching it with my own eyes. I was like, I'm not sure I want to go there. But I'm also like, I think I was at too surface level. Like, can I have a happy medium? So I was starting to ask people like why they did Aya. I was like, why are you doing Aya? Why are you doing Aya? And I asked most of the Westerners this question. And what I received back during this time, I was just really, it kind of made me like, it just made me feel a little, I just don't want to belittle their experience or why they're searching for it, but it did make me feel a little icky. Everything was like, I've got a lot of trauma. I've got a lot of darkness, and I want to heal all this stuff. And it was just like, for me, it felt like the Westerners were there to go really dark and go into the darkness, which I think is wonderful. Shadow work is a huge thing in my life, and I do it all the time, but it just felt really interesting. And there was one of the tribesmen had said that, Aya isn't a quick fix. She is just a helper for you to see. She's not going to fix you. She's going to help you see what you can do as the warrior to fix. So it's like, you could be shown it and still not do anything about it. You know what I mean? And then that's where it is. It's like, holy shit. And so I was like, man, like, it just seems really bleak and sad. And I'm like, are you healing it? Or are you just looking at it and like being there? Like, so I'm trying to understand why people are doing this, and not to belittle anybody that's done it out there, and anybody listening to this. I just want you to know that this is just my own experience, and I honor everybody's journey, and it just wasn't mine. There's a lot of darkness in my life, and there has been a lot of darkness in my life, and it's one of those things where I was like, not that I'm saying I'm healed from it, but at the same time, it wasn't something of my main focus. It wasn't something that made me feel like it was something that I wanted to focus on during these ceremonies, at least. But obviously, I got no choice. We think what we think, and what our intention is, So I ended up asking the tribesmen. I ended up asking one of the Yawanawa. And, oh, gosh, their answers were beautiful. Because they had been doing it since they were kids. Like, basically, if you were a child and you asked if you wanted some, they would give it to you. It didn't matter what age you were. You could be, if the earliest you could talk, you'd be like, yeah, I want some. And they'll give you a little bit. And, ayahuasca is basically, DMT. It's like something that gets you into your dream state. And so, like, when I think about this, and how these people understand it, they've been doing it for many, 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 many years. And it's probably, scientifically and chemically altered their brain in a way that makes them look at it from a different perspective. That's how I see it, because the answers that I received when I spoke to the tribesmen, when I spoke to the Yawanawa, they were like, oh, we ask her for more creativity. We ask her to understand music more. We ask her for the music of nature. We ask her for how we can further understand the medicine to help others. We ask her for how we can help innovate the community, like what else they need to do in it. How else are they going to help make things easier for the community? Whether that be building another building, whether that be adding a well in one other area, or finding a well, really. Like, you know, they were looking at it as a way to almost like speak with nature and co-create with nature, that allowed them to literally live easefully with an easeful life in nature. And I was just like, wow, that was such a different answer than I received from the Westerners, from us people out from the outside world. And I was like, okay, well, how do you do that? How do you get that? How do you get that experience out of her? And they go, well, when you feel the force, you just ask. And I was like, well, that was easy. Okay, let me just ask her. Okay. You know, and they were like, set the intention, essentially. Set the intention. And I was like, well, how many? They're like, Reese, 3. Do 3. Have 3 intentions. And this is all being translated to me from Portuguese to English. So I'm just, you know, like, I'm so excited. You know, me having a lot of control issues, being like, okay, I can let go if I have some structure. And you know what's so funny about this? This is actually what I teach in business. This is like so crazy to me. It's like, in order to have flow, we do need structure. We do need a little bit of a plan. We do need strategy and structure, but we need them to be aligned in order for us to flow. So and this goes with business, like in order for me to have time freedom, I need structure within my business so that I can go out there and flow in my creativity and my energy and all this stuff. So I was literally asking for a strategy on how to do Aya. And I was like, okay, I got it from the tribesmen. Like they're a source. That's the source, I believe. Let me go with them. This feels more aligned with what I'm asking for from Aya. And so we're in second ceremony. We're sitting there. I'm ready. I take a full cup first try. And I start to feel the force pretty quickly. And in that moment, I close my eyes and I ask her, help me to create, basically help me to open my channels up for creativity. Let me see the future of my abundance, and help me to release doubt. Those are the 3 things that I had asked. And in that moment, as the force hit me, I started to feel really weird. And I was like, oh my God. So I look over at one of the guides and I was like, hey, I need to go outside. And so she takes me outside and she goes, Reese, I really suggest that you chant. You go in the circle and chant. And that's, you know, when you start to feel I and you start to feel off and you're trying to fight the force, you're trying to fight it off. You're trying to get clarity again within your brain and not allow her to just allow the ego to quiet, because the ego is like freaking out. It's like, oh my God, what's happening? And so like you're freaking out. And what the chanting and the circles do, it really contains that energy, helps you to alchemize it, helps you to hold yourself up straighter and allow you to just share in the energy with the circle and the people that are chanting. And I said, no, I was like, I can't right now. And then there's this beautiful tree. There's this big, I'm getting chills just thinking about it. There was this big, beautiful tree. And he calls to me, and it was a he and a she. She is an Aya in nature, but he just as needing this masculine energy in my life, apparently, because I just needed a he. At the time, he was a he, but he was also a she, so it was like a nothing. It was just an it. But he was calling to me, and I grabbed hold of the branches, and he was just like, we're all connected. We're all connected, Reese. We're all one. And I just looked up at the tree, and I was just like, and I'm just having a conversation. And I'm like, I'm like, we're all one. He goes, you're so abundant. You already have it all in you. You just need to release it. You need to release the doubt. You need to release the blocks, because it's the only way you're going to get a clear channel to everything, to all of the abundance that's already in you. And he's like, you are going to purge it out. And all of a sudden, I start to feel like I'm going to throw up. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to throw up. I'm going to throw up. I'm going to fucking throw up. And I feel the throw up literally crawling up my throat. And then all of a sudden I start crying. I start crying and crying and crying. And I couldn't stop. And it was like all I could hear in the voice in my head was that you are going to continue to cry out all of the doubts, all of the blocks. You are no longer going to hold on to these limiting beliefs within you. You are going to know that you do have such an amazing healing ability, and you are meant for this world for a reason, and this is what you are going to do. You're going to cry it out. So I was crying and sobbing and sobbing. And all I heard was, all I wanted to do was hang on to this tree. And he was just like, you need to go back inside. You need to go back inside, and you need to dance, and you need to dance. And so I look back at my guide, and I'm like, take me inside. Take me to the circle. So I'm holding onto the hands of Yawanawa women, and I could just feel them vibrating, and I'm like vibrating with them, and I can feel the energy just like blasting out of like my whole body. Like everybody started to turn this golden light color, and I was like, oh my God. And I'm holding my guide's hand as well, and all of a sudden I just have this intuitive feeling. I'm like, you need to go sit down with one of my flatmates. She needs you. That's all I heard. That's all I said. Come to find later, it was exactly what was needed. So it's like just more confirmation that we do understand energetically and intuitively when we can just release the walls from feeling like it's all fake or it's not real or whatever, because she did need help in that moment, and desperate help, like really gnarly, like too dark, too deep in the darkness, and needing to alchemize, because sometimes when we get stuck in the darkness, we can really be hurt by that mentally when you wake out of it. So it's anyway. So I'm in the circle. I tell my guide that I'm alchemizing. And all of a sudden it becomes too much again. And I'm like, I break the circle, reconnect it to the hands that were next to me, and run outside to the tree. And I'm still crying. I'm like crying. I'm still continuously crying. It feels like hours I've been crying. And I'm like, how do I have any more tears inside of me? I just don't understand. And so I'm going out to the tree, and the tree's just like, you're going to continue, Reese. You're going to continue. And I was just like, I just want to talk to my family. I just miss my family. I haven't said hi to them. I just need to talk to them. Like I was just feeling like I wanted to escape in some capacity. And all the tree said to me was that I will send them the message. And all I saw was these like beautiful golden like networks from the tree into the roots of the tree. And I just saw it through the mycelium underground, this network of mycelium. If you don't know what that is, I'd highly, highly, highly recommend watching, Fantastic Fungi, where they talk about mycelium being the network, underground network of nature in all of the world. And I just saw it through the mycelium. And I haven't heard the mycelium in years. I watched that documentary so long ago. And I just saw this golden like network just shoot out. And I just knew in my heart that they heard my message, that I love them and that I'm okay. And even, it was funny because even my partner had said that he was like, I was like, did you ever, he had sent me a message on that day. And he was like, hey, I'm just thinking about you. And even though he knew he couldn't get a hold of me, he knew that I was out of complete, like I couldn't be reached. He sent me that message anyway, exactly when everything was happening. And so it was just like, fuck yeah. And all of a sudden, I start crying again in happiness, and crying and crying and crying. And the earth and Aya and the tree was just like, do not wipe away your tears are healing. And I just start to notice that my tears are turning to gold and dripping into gold and going onto the ground. And and the tree is just like, I'm smiling and I'm seeing the abundance of this planet. I'm seeing the earth turn into gold, and I'm just seeing all these people just really coming into their path, coming into spirituality, and really seeing a new earth. And I go back inside, I sit down, and the shaman comes over and he clears me. He starts cleansing me, energetically starts cleansing me. And all of a sudden I look up at him and I start to see these animals, and I start to see these colors. And if you guys have noticed on my Instagram, I started drawing. Now I gotta admit, I don't want to do tattoo designs. It's very hard. I don't have really all that time to do these want to do tattoo designs. Well, that's what I tell myself anyway. I'm doing so many other things that call my creativity in a different direction. And so I just did I'm doing 7 different I'm calling it my chakra series, because what I noticed in that all of these animals over these people, as I started to look around the room at everybody that was closest to me in vicinity, I started to notice like their nature essence. I would see this yellow flower over this one woman. I saw this like really blue snake over this one man. I saw this scorpion over one of the Yawanawa. I saw and then I kept seeing geometrical shapes everywhere. And I was just like, oh my God. And I just was like trying to memorize it, because I was like, I need to remember these things. And as I let it download and marinate within me, I actually channeled them through into tattoo designs and what they meant. And it was so intentional. I started to notice that even my artwork since I've been back has been so intentional in the healing realm of how like we can root and ground down, and how the tattoo designs that I do are really meant for healing, and how I was told that I need to get more ceremonial with my tattooing, how I need to not only do healing within the tattoo designs and within my ritualistic space, but also with my clients. And so like now this is my newfound mission, is that like I am going to start offering energetic clearings, and whatever that looks like, because I think energetic healing looks different for everyone. And what's funny is that like I was just having a conversation with one of my VIP clients about this as well. And I was just, she does ceremonial tattooing, and it's something that like I do with some clients if they ask for it. But I don't really talk about it all that much. It's not like something I'm offering via email or on my website. But now I'm just like, no, fuck yeah, I got to do this, because this is what's being called to me. This is what I've been feeling. After that shaman had cleared something out of me, all of a sudden I was just starting to see all these beautiful things. And so I just started in my drawings became innovative. But in the ceremony, as I started seeing all of these things, it was funny, because all of a sudden I start seeing these things, and I start washing myself over with all this beautiful like cleansing smoke that they have to clear energetic fields, so you no longer have to hold on to the things that were inside of you that want to come out, and they're off the surface, and you're like, here's this onion layer I no longer need, please just take it. And so this is what's happening. And all of a sudden I come back to my body, I wake up, and I'm still seeing all of these colors, and I'm still seeing all of these animals, and I'm like, holy shit. And I'm even looking at my plant now, and I can feel the energy, and I'm just like, oh my God. So my channels have been opened in a fucking beautiful way, and I was just like, holy fuck. Now I understand. This is what I came here for. And this was only my second ceremony. I did 3 or 4 more days after this. And they were all epic, just as epic as this. But this was the ceremony that it was like the oracle. She was like, you don't need to do me, but you can choose whether or not to, or do you have the courage to do it again? And then here I do it again, and then I got exactly what I wanted, was to clear my channels, to really understand my magical gifts of healing, to be really rooted in my mission, in what I'm here to do on this planet as of right now. And that will evolve and change as I grow and continue to grow, because growth is my path and it is my business. And so, fuck. I recommend going to anybody that feels the call to go. I will definitely be going back. I'll tell you more about my next part of the experiences after this, but that was probably my most profound one, because it was the one that I had been searching for. Now, the things that I ended up learning later, and I truly believe that even now as I'm home, I'm starting to remember and learn the things that I was meant to as of right now, because the Amazon wasn't done with me during that second ceremony. She wanted me to learn a lot more, and we ended up going and seeing Samuuma, which is the grandmother tree, probably centuries old tree, and I'll talk to you about that experience in a next episode. But for now, I just want you to, whatever you take away from this episode, I just want you to know that you're fucking magical, and that I'm not special. I'm just really curious, and I'm just really open. I'm really, really open, and I'm open to the possibilities of so much fucking magic, and this was just my reward to being that open. And now I feel incredibly rooted into who I am, and no fucks given, even more so than before. And so if there's anything that I hope that you take away from this, it's not that you have to do Aya in order to get to where you want to go or to feel a spiritual awakening. Yes, you can have Aya you can hire Aya to be your mentor if you'd like. That, if you feel the call to that, but that's not the point. And I think that that was the biggest thing that I was meant to learn, was that it's not necessary. But when I did, I was able to get what I wanted because I was intentional. And as an intentional human being, I am intentional with everything, with every single thing. And it makes me even more intentional because of the messages that I received and the messages I continue to receive. And the reason why I'm smiling is because my plant's smiling at me. So, oh gosh, you guys, crazy, crazy, crazy pants. I am just excited to really see where this all takes me, how this shifts in my business, how this is already shifting in my business. Those tattoo designs are up for grabs. And my books do open on the 15th, which I think, I'm not sure if this episode will be out by then, but it might be then or after, actually. Yeah, just an incredible, incredible experience. And yeah, I think we're going to need at least one more episode to get through the rest of it and tell you how I got home. So I am loving you so much. Thank you for sticking around. Please let me know how this has resonated with you, how this has hit home. What did your takeaways from this? What are you learning from this? Are you thinking I'm a crazy fucking kook? Like, I want to know. Tell me about it, okay? I love you guys so fucking much. And yeah, I'll see you in the next episode.